The Giants are reportedly out on Imai. Where do they go from here, as it looks like they might be trying to save some cash? It's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Stiles. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show at Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing at Sacramento Rivercats games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. There is a heater of an article from Andrew Baggarly of The Athletic, and he is reporting that the Giants are out on Tatsuya Imai. They are trying to save some cash, and they are looking for more short-term deals as it comes to the pitching. So we are discussing whether or not this is the direction they should go in. We should be in the thought process of looking at more trades and who that could cost. And last but not least, where they are headed next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So hope everybody had a great weekend. And I hope that this doesn't ruin it right now, because the Giants have come out and said on their Christmas list, they are trying to save money. They are not trying to spend a ton of money out there for Giants fans. Your Christmas list is not going to be filled out if Imai was on your list. This is from Andrew Baggarly, and he says that the Giants are essentially out. Giants not inclined to spend what it takes to sign Tatsuya Imai. That's from sources. Now, they've kind of been saying this the whole time, right? And Andrew Baggarly, he lays this out beautifully, because he talks about the Giants not doing it, and then he says why. And I know that as fans, we don't care about the whole idea of their private equity and they sold 10% and what's going on with the TV deals. I'm not saying that you should care about it, but there is a level of context there that Andrew does add that I think makes more sense. It's not going to make you happy. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make me understand it even more when we know they're worth about $4 billion. But that's just the reality of the situation. So let's start here. This is the main crux of where he drops the big one on Giants fans. So Tatsuya Imai, the right-handed Cebu Lions ace, who might have the highest ceiling of any free agent starting pitcher this offseason, would appear to be a perfect fit. Maybe not to close the gap between the Giants and the World Series champion arch rivals on his own, but to imbue their fans with the hope that San Francisco might be starting to establish itself as an international destination. Imai to San Francisco coals were already glowing on the rumor circuit before the 27-year-old pitcher perhaps strategically brought the Billows to a podcast interview last week and declared his preference to beat the Dodgers rather than join them. Except the Giants are choosing to sit this one out. According to club sources, because of a number of financial considerations, the Giants do not anticipate making the 9-figure investment required to sign Imai or any of the top pitchers on the free agent market. Instead, the club is focusing on more modestly priced alternatives. They expect to sign at least one starting pitcher, and they plan to add to their bullpen beyond the $1.4 million agreement in place with left-handed reliever Sam Hentges. But after splurging on $182 million shortstop Willie Adames last offseason and taking on more than $250 million while trading for corner infielder Rafael Devers in June, their current preference is to limit their spending to short-term deals. So they've told us this before. I held out hope that they were still heading in the direction of we need to get one, right? Let's get one guy and that's it. I thought maybe they'd have two big price tags. So, by the way, that means I don't know if this is specific to pitchers, but it seems like the Giants are kind of telling us we were never going to spend on a hitter. If anything, we were going to spend on a pitcher, and we're also not doing that. So all of these names that we've kind of talked about seems like it's not a huge reason for us to talk about them. Let me break down. Trust me, you're going to get my reaction here. That's probably going to come up in the second segment. But I want to break down all the reasons here that the Giants are. I mean, by the way, there's a reason that Andrew Baggarly got this information. They want this to get out. They want it to be known to their fans, hey, this is the direction we're going. So I guess they're not let down, right? If your parents say to you, hey, it's going to be a tougher holiday season, we're not going to be able to get the ribeye and get the filet mignon and get you 12, 15 gifts, whatever it is, then you're less likely to be let down. You're still not going to be thrilled about it, relatively speaking. Of course, we know there are kids out there that don't get anything, but at least you now know, okay, that's what's going on here. So this is how I kind of highlighted the main pieces from the financial standpoint. There's one factor here with Scott Boras. Buster Posey has not signed a Boras client since becoming president of baseball operations. So there you go right there. Obviously, that's something that they're going to have to – Scott Boras isn't going anywhere. They're going to have to figure that out at some point, but that is where the Giants are right now. And here are some of the financial factors driving their decision. The Giants owe Blake Snell $17 million in deferred money on January 15th, 2026. Additional $15 million in deferred due to Snell in July 2027. Just insane, by the way. This guy is running around with the Dodgers, winning a World Series with the Dodgers, and the Giants are still paying him. That's that deferred money stuff, man. Giants paying $10.5 million total to the managers, okay, next season. Melvin payout and Vitello Tennessee buyout. Giants want to avoid appearing to take an operational loss so soon after selling 10% of the team to Sixth Street Partners, increase attendance to 2.9 million in 2025, but many tickets were discounted and their NBC Sports Bay Area revenue share declining due to RSN struggles and Comcast Xfinity tiering issues. So the one thing that Baggarly also mentions in this is that the Giants aren't the only team dealing with these uncertainties, right? Now, some teams can decide that they want to take a chance with these uncertainties, and some of these teams don't want to do that. And it seems like the Giants don't want to do that. All right. And by the way, it was purchased, in 1992, $100 million. Now it's worth an estimated $4 billion. And the Giants have not fielded a top 5 payroll since 2019. Okay. So that is where the Giants are coming from. Let's just say when we return, I'm going to give my thoughts because clearly this Giants ownership group, the Giants front office, clearly they're confused. Clearly they are not really sure what direction they want to go in. And I am also starting to get very confused, and I know a lot of fans are also starting to get very confused. You don't want to miss what I got to say on the other side. It's time for me to react to this article and what in the world just happened. That's all coming up on Locked On Giants. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I have to tell y'all about my favorite jeans. my doers. Seriously, they've changed my life. Right now, I'm wearing the Performance Denim Slim Straight, and I cannot get over how comfortable these jeans are. I've been reaching for my doers for everything, running errands, grabbing dinner with friends, even heading to the ballpark because they look great and feel even better. Here's the thing. Doer jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so you can actually move in them. They're also antibacterial, which means they stay fresh longer, wear more, wash less. And they're made with CoolMax technology that helps regulate body temperature and wick moisture, so you stay cool and comfortable as the day changes. Honestly, they feel as stretchy as my favorite joggers, but look like I'm dressed to go out on the town. Doer is all about combining classic jeanswear style with athletic level comfort and performance, the best of both worlds. They actually pioneered the original performance denim, blending technical innovation with everyday clothing that looks sharp and feels incredible. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without sacrificing style. Once you try them, they'll be your go-to pair. Trust me. And if you're in San Francisco, check out Doer's store at 567 Hayes Street. Pick up a pair for yourself or grab one as an amazing holiday gift. Mention my promo code LOCKEDONSF in store to get 15% off your first order, or shop online at shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF for that same 15% off. That's shopduer.com/LockedOnSF. Your new favorite jeans are waiting. I simply just don't understand what the Giants are trying to do here. We can sit here and we can talk about the money this, the money that. Fans don't care about that. I don't care, right? I know it's their job to care, but I do not care about this. The reality is this. Nobody made you sign Willy Adames, and I get it. We're making up, or they are making up for the fact that Marco Luciano didn't work out. They haven't been able to hit on some of these draft picks, so they have had to go out and pay. We get all that. But Rafi Devers to play first base, I don't know what Bryce Eldridge is going to be, but you went out and you got Rafi Devers. Okay, cool. You signed Matt Chapman to an extension. Cool. These are big money extensions. You went out and got Jung Hoo Lee. Cool. All right. Now let's go get a pitching staff to match, right? And you just need one. Let's go get a pitching staff to match since all these guys are only going to get older. No, we don't want to do that. Now, all of a sudden, the Giants don't want to do that. Now, all of a sudden, the Giants don't want to spend money. And even if it's not Imai, maybe that is not their cup of tea, right? They've done extensive research on him. It seems like he's their cup of tea, but let's just pretend that they're not. There are other guys out there, and they're not spending money on anybody. It's not just about him. They're not spending money on anybody. So I'm just very confused here, very confused as to what in the world the Giants' plan is. These dudes are all late 20s, getting to their 30s, or already in their 30s in the infield. Then you go out and you spend this money on Rafi Devers, and you make this trade, which a lot of people think you're paying him too much money, which is all fine and good. But now you want to be cheap with the pitching when, by the way, you've gone out and said time and time again ad nauseum, oh, we're about pitching and defense. We are. Well, you've spent all your money on hitters. You spent all your money on hitters that sometimes can't hit. We just watched that. And you're in a pitcher's ballpark. This is so confusing. And in the last segment, we're going to talk about the trades that might happen if they still want to upgrade somehow. But this is going to upset some people. And some of you out there might say, well, Alan, they can still find value, and they can, and I hope they do. Because I would like to go back to the playoffs. I would like to see the Giants in the playoffs. I don't want to have to see the Reds. I don't want to have to see teams that have no business. I don't want to say no business, but teams that I feel like the Giants should be better than at this point in time. More money, bigger market. Should be able to bring guys in. I don't want to see that. So I am just a bit confused, and I'm working on, like I said, I got the 2 little ones, but the plan is to be at some Giants games, and I really want to find a way to ask some questions. Obviously, this wouldn't be for the coaching staff. But on top of that, by the way, you got this coaching situation where you're paying a premium for a dude, and I like Tony Vitello at Tennessee. I don't know what he's going to be in San Francisco, but you're paying a premium for a guy that's never coached before, and you got to bring in other coaches with a lot of experience because he hasn't coached before. So this whole timeline just isn't making sense to me. That's what I'm confused about. You bring in Tony Vitello, who'd probably be great for a young, scrappy group. Checks notes. They don't have a young, scrappy group. They have guys that are late 20s, early 30s, all in the infield that are getting paid handsomely. That's what they have. So you start there with the coaching staff. The outfield is the outfield. They're going to try to upgrade it, I guess, internally, or they might go get a smaller contract there. But you keep on talking about the defense and the pitching, right? The outfield defense, I don't know if they're going to spend on that. And the pitching, now they're telling us, well, we're not going to pay for the best pitchers out there. So what they're saying and what they're doing completely is contradicting themselves. Unless they have some secret hidden gem that they're going to be able to just run on out there. Because Cody Ponce, I'm saying $30, $40 million too. So you have to spend money. That's the issue here. And I'll take it back to the Farhan thing. We all didn't know, can the Giants spend money or not? Is this on Farhan or not? What is the situation? And people used to get on me for saying, well, Alan, why are you defending? I'm not defending him. I just don't know if Farhan cares that much about spending somebody else's money. Why would he say, hey, I don't want to spend that money even though I can? It seems like, now again, the draft part of it, he missed. But it seems like he's not spending money. And I know he had some of the Moneyball-esqueness to him, but he's also not spending money because he's not allowed to. So Buster comes in. To be honest with you, this is what it seems like to me. It seems like Buster Posey came in and decided that he wanted everything to just start rolling. Hey, we're busting out the black card. We're busting out the platinum card. We want to show the fans that I'm Buster Posey. I'm not Farhan. And we're going to dig into this thing and get what we need done and go back to the playoffs and go back to World Series. That's what we're going to do. So they go out there, they extend Matt Chapman. I know Buster was just coming into the fold at that point. They go out there, they sign Willie Adames. They go out there, they trade for Rafi Devers, right? They go get Jung-Hoo Lee. All right. Now we have spent all this money. And ownership starts looking around and say, whoa. I know we said that you could bust out the black card, but the black card got limits too. And now they have this situation where they've sold 10% of the organization. And because of that, now they have different financial stances that they have to take. So it's almost as if they spent too much early trying to get everybody excited that it's Buster Posey time and he can do what he wants and he's not Farhan. And then they realized that maybe, just maybe, some of this wasn't just the idea of Farhan not spending the money because they weren't allowing him to do so. So now that he spent this money, whoa, hey, man, now that we spent this money, now we got to go cheap. Well, based on the priority list, Buster spent his money on the wrong stuff. What it seems like Buster Posey did was he went out there and he wanted to make a really nice burger, right? So he buys the most expensive buns. He buys the most expensive pickles. He finds some truffle ketchup. He finds this outstanding Dijon mustard. The best cheese you could possibly buy has been aged for years. But you know what they forgot? They forgot to buy the meat. They forgot to buy the beef, the chicken, the vegan meat, whatever it is. They forgot to do that. And now you got to go to a different part of the grocery store, or maybe even a cheaper grocery store, to find the meat to make your really nice burger. They did it backwards. And it caught up with them. And now they have to bargain bin shop in order to compete in the NL West. With the Dodgers here, just take one of our pitchers. We got a ton. You're still paying one of ours, Blake Snell. Do you remember him? That's what they did. And now as fans, we have to sit here and hope that they hit on somebody on these shorter term deals. Makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. One more segment with you. Let's talk about a name who now might be thrown around if the Giants decide to go the trade route, since clearly they're not trying to spend money. More Locked On Giants coming up. The NFL season is here, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout is frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. And zone deals, I love them. I picked the section, and Game Time picks the seats, and I save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. One more segment with you. That last one got a little fiery, but I haven't been able to really do that since the season ended, and it's not that I enjoy doing it, but I kind of enjoy doing it. I wish that I would more so be freaking out over the Giants making a move, but I guess this is the only alternative that we have right now. With that being said, this is from Mark Feinsand of MLB.com, and he says that there is a perfect, I guess, a trade candidate for every team, right? So he picks a trade candidate, a prospect, or a young guy that every team may move this offseason. And it's funny because this is the exact opposite player of who we talked about last week, because they play off of each other, both being shortstops, and with the Giants not really planning on spending money, this is a situation that might come up. Now you have Mark Feinsand saying Josuar Gonzalez is MLB Pipeline's number 82 overall prospect in the majors and number 2 on the Giants' top 30. And while he's still only 18 years old, he's blocked at shortstop by Willy Adames for the next 6 years. And San Francisco's number 4 prospect, Johnny Level, who is also 18 years old. So there's organizational depth from which to trade in their attempt to bolster their pitching staff. He's also number 28 overall on FanGraphs. And, you know, the larger conversation that I want to have here, whether it's Johnny Level, whether it's Josuar Gonzalez, whether it's somebody else on the top 30 list, is specifically with what just came out from The Athletic and Andrew Baggarly. It's time for us to mentally prepare for one of these guys to be gone. And you just hope you keep the right one, because that's the other part of it, right? There's always going to be a world where you have to move on from someone, and you just hope that the other one doesn't end up being better. He can be good, but just don't be better than who we decided to keep. So the Giants have a couple decisions to make, since they want to save money and they don't necessarily want to grab somebody on the free agent market. And trades, that's really the only other way they're going to be able to get this thing done and be able to bolster that pitching staff. It really can go back and forth. I mean, I know these guys are numbered and somebody's number 2 and somebody's number 4, but all these guys have really high ceilings, and all these guys, it's a gamble. I mean, the reality is, and I've said this before, every team has a top 30 prospect list, right? Where those players end up and how good those players are supposed to be, that's what we're still trying to figure out. And that's what we're not going to know until they get their opportunity. Very similar to in baseball. Everybody's got a leadoff hitter. Doesn't mean every leadoff hitter is good. Everybody's got a 2-hitter. Everybody's got a 3-hitter. Everybody's got an ace. An ace doesn't mean that their ace is actually good. It's just the best that they can put forth. So the Giants have to do some deep digging here to figure out who it is they're willing to move off of and just hope that they move off of the right person. Because if they move off of the wrong person, this would be a rocky start. You're telling fans you're not spending money. You're telling fans that this isn't happening and that isn't happening. Because here's a reality. I like Willy Adames. I think he's a good player. I think Rafael Devers is a stud. I think Matt Chapman is a solid player. Do I think you needed to pay all three of them? No. Well, I'll put it to you like this. Do I think you needed to pay all three of them with the current starting rotation that the Giants have? No. So that's where you're at right now. And I know Matt Chapman's got a trade clause. So they just have to decide how they want to move forward and where their timeline is. These guys are 18, but as Mark Feinsand said, Willy Adames is going to be here for 6 years. These are not small contracts. So you start blocking these guys. And I mean, we talk about Gavin Keelan as well. You start blocking these guys and you're not making the playoffs. That looks bad. That looks bad as heck. And some of them are going to get traded, sure. But if you are going to be blocking these guys and we're not getting to see young talent, it's not just about Willy Adames. It's all of the positions. These guys better be balling out, number one. And number two, you better be winning. Because if you're not winning and you're turning away or you're holding up these kids that could be good for you in the future, it just turns into, what are you doing? And I hate to bring back up the whole situation with not paying for the pitcher, but they're paying big money for a pitcher. But that's why this thing just doesn't make a ton of sense. You have decided. Nobody made the Giants decide that their timeline was right now. If they knew that they were going to take a first-time head coach, you got Buster Posey, who I think most people would have given a lot of grace to. You're bringing in a first-time head coach, right? You could have lined this thing up to say, hey, the Dodgers are balling right now. Let's just focus on getting our prospects in order, bolstering our farm system, going in that direction. But no, you came in and you spent that money on Willy Adames. You spent that money on Rafi Devers. You spent that money on Matt Chapman. So it's too late. It's too late to try to turn back the clock and now say, well, actually, we're not fully bought into going all in right now. You already kind of did that. Because now you have everybody blocked up in your farm system that is getting better for the next 6 to 10 years. Bryce Eldridge can't even play first base every day because you brought in Rafi Devers. But then you don't want to pay for a pitcher? Again, the Giants, honestly, it just feels like they don't have an identity right now. It feels like they don't have an identity right now. Even if these guys had 2-3 years left in the infield, you just signed these guys. You just signed them. So it's very bizarre. It's very disheartening. Like I said, they are trying to make a really expensive burger, but they bought everything else besides the meat. And now it's time for them to buy the meat, and they don't have enough money left. Now they got to go to a cheaper grocery store. They got to buy a cheaper cut of meat because they spent their money on things that they didn't necessarily have to spend their money on at the time. So here we are now. And now it might cost them some top prospects because you might have to trade for a guy. Or we're going to sit here and pray that one of the 14 pitchers that they threw out last season actually hits. Maybe they will. That's what we're going to have to wait and see. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @_StyleSfiles with an I. Also on the official Locked On Giants account. We will talk to you tomorrow. It was a fun one, but where do we go from here? I guess you'll have to tune in tomorrow and find out. We will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.